Hello, good folks. I'm here to speak about heroes. Heroes. Yes, heroes. Let's talk about heroes. I'm going to have to say that there are some people in my own country of America who actually feel that they're their own hero. Yep. They're their own hero. How about that? Okay. For all the sane people, which is a limited amount here in America, but let's hope it's still in the majority, we realize at some point in our life, usually as babies, that there's heroes all around us. Our father, our mother, etc., etc., etc. At any rate, what I want to say is we need more heroes. And we have them. They're there. But we don't think about them like we should. We take them for granted. We don't understand that their lives can directly influence our lives if we learn about them. Now, I'm going to tell you, I have several heroes, many. But I'm going to tell you, this one here, right here, Anne Frank, is a major hero. Right here. You know who Anne Frank is. You should have read her already. If you haven't read her, you need to read her now. I've read her about 10 times. And I still keep reading. However, now that I've gotten older, this young lady here was a little bit older than Anne, and had a little bit older and more sophisticated, much more sophisticated perspective on it all than Anne. And this lady is hardly known in the U.S. And of all the heroes, this is my favorite. Now, I might mention that I have photographed heroes. I photographed Nelson Mandela. I photographed Mother Teresa. I photographed Elie Wiesel. I photographed Coretta King. I photographed a lot of heroes. But of all the heroes, this one, this Holocaust diarist, and Anne Frank, and Helene Berr, I mentioned Helene Berr, those three, but especially Etty Hillesum. She found a way, like Anne and Helene, this is Helene, they all three found a way through the worst time maybe in all of human history, but they found a way through it. Now, Etty was 26 years old at the time of the beginning of the Holocaust. And her diary spanned from 26 to 29 years of age. She was not a religious person. Her family was Jewish, of course, but they were not practicing. And she had we all try to learn things. We like to learn this thing or that. And that I'd like to say that I'd like to tell you that she liked to learn things, this thing or that. I wish I could tell you that. She didn't do it. She wasn't like that. She wasn't like you and I. We take a little learning here, we take a little learning there. Oh no. She was obsessed. She read constantly. Tolstoy, Shakespeare, Dostoevsky, all of them. She read. A little girl, she had so many family problems. There was lots of uproar in the house. So she went into her books and she stayed. And this is what she did throughout her life. She read and read and read. As she said, she wanted to saturate. She wanted to saturate into her what was in those books. And she wasn't looking for answers to little silly petty things. Oh no. She was looking for answers to the big things. Like, does God exist? Does everything happen for a reason? Or does it just not matter? Anything happens for any old reason. And obviously if that's the case, then there can't be a God. It's just, we evolve, right? A lot of people believe that. That's nonsense. Of course we didn't evolve. Just like I'm making this tape. If I didn't make this tape, it wouldn't get made. If someone didn't make the world, it wouldn't be here. I mean, I don't want to get into that. My point is this. This woman wanted to find out all the answers to life in the middle of the Holocaust. As if the Holocaust wasn't enough. She found most of them. She found the ones, I'll tell you, she found the ones that made her rise above the Holocaust. She found those. She, like Anne and Helene, had an ability which I surely lack. I don't know, maybe some folks out there have this ability. I do not. She had an ability to be able to appreciate the littlest thing. Not just here and there, oh, that's lovely, thank you, that's nice. Oh no, I mean really, really appreciate the things around her. The sky, the grass, the trees, the flowers, everything and everyone. Etty was extremely social. She realized that the connection with her and people was paramount to everything good in life, which it is. And that is how we learn about the spiritual world, is from the people here that have God's Spirit. And I'm not even going to say the Christian God or the Muslim God. I'm saying God in the broad sense of things. The man, the Spirit that made this world. Because a lot of people believe it's the same God that the Muslims have, it's the same God us Christians have, and the same God the Hindu. They're all talking about the same person, but in different ways. Again, I digress. Because this isn't about a God. This isn't about God. But this is about how this person found God. Without any religious training, without any religious inklings, but the ability to seek and seek and seek and look and look and look and search and search and search and never stop. This is what she did. Of course, at the time she did it, again, it was the Holocaust. But her therapist suggested that she write a diary. And she said that she had so much inside of her that hadn't been brought out. And then when she started to write, it flowed from her. And she's just a remarkable person in every way. She realized that everyone, they hated the Germans for good reason. My Lord, of course you'd hate the Germans. That's just natural. Not to her, not to Etty. That wasn't natural. She says, there's no hate in me. If I started to feel hate in my heart, I know I was sick. And I'd have to see a doctor. That's what she said. So she wasn't going to feel hate. In fact, she realized that the same thing that was in the Germans that was persecuting the Jews was in all people, all mankind. We have that dark side. It's very unfortunate. It's there. She realized it. She wasn't going to blame the Germans. Oh no. So she just realized that she had to make it day to day and try to rise above. Again, this is what she did though. This is what she did. When others were worried that someone was going to take their lives or take their possessions, and they, as she said, they have a sliver of life. They don't really have any life at all. Because everyone knows that the Germans and the Gestapo and such, they're going to pick them up one day soon and put them on a train, and that's going to be that. And everybody knew that. But all they did was worry. Of course they worried. Every day. Every day they worried. She didn't worry. Now you're probably saying, how's that she's not worrying? Because she accepted it. Somehow she was able to do this. She did it. She accepted it. She said, I'm going to die. We're all going to die. So what she decided to do was, by accepting it, then she was able to live. Live a life. Live it each day, each precious moment. she was able to live. She didn't have that cloud hanging over her. She knew it was going to happen. She just accepted it. She said she felt free. Once she accepted that, she felt free. That's a hard thing to accept. But she could read the writing on the wall, and she wasn't willing to trade what time she may have left in worry about possessions and all the terrible things that were going to happen. She figured she'd face that when that time came, being aware that it was there. She said that by accepting death into her life, she extended her life. Again, this is a wise woman. She did extend her life. Because by realizing that, she had nothing to lose. She said, and this is true too, life and death are not opposites. They're part of the same thing. It's a part of the same whole. This is what she understood. Just like a tree. A tree is green, and then a tree, the leaves all fall off every year. That's part of it. That's part of our lives. And she understood it. She accepted it. She always talked about the hint of eternity that she felt in her. She always felt this. Well, sometimes she got depressed and she'd lose that hint of eternity, and she would say that, and sometimes she even wondered if she'd done something wrong. But then she'd wake up the next day and no, she felt that hint of eternity inside her again. And she knew that was real. That was real. That was coming from someplace. Right here. But again, she read, she reread. She'd write passages again and again and again and again. And as her doctor, who asked her to write the diary, he told her, he said, well, everything that you read, it all goes into your head. But what happens is you need to take what's here and put it here. And she said she doesn't know how he accomplished that or how that was accomplished, but she realized that's what happened. As she continued to read and express herself on paper in her diary, what was up here worked its way down to her heart, making her more empathetic than she already was, more insightful than she already was, more wise than she already was, and more unique than she already was. But I guess to give you an inkling of how she felt, when the trains would come to take the Jewish people away, they always wanted to have 1,000 people. They're very efficient like this, the Germans. 1,000. You could not have less than 1,000 people. They would raid the hospitals for the elderly and the babies to make sure they had 1,000 people on that train. Could be a few more than 1,000, could never be less. Etty Hillesum, right here in Amsterdam, just like Anne Frank, right up the street. Etty Hillesum was not willing that somebody else would take her place on the train. She wasn't willing. She said, if they go instead of me, that's not right. I need to stand up and go in their place instead of the other way around. Well, her friends, many of whom were Gentiles, were Dutch, they didn't really like the logic of this. And they literally picked her up and forcibly kidnapped her. Took her out in the country, showed her this little panel behind a stairwell that she could hide in, and other people had, and they were fine, because since they were Dutch, the Germans weren't normally, as a rule, searching those houses. So the thing is, she could have done all this. She'd be alive today. But she wouldn't do it. She broke away from him, her friend, and said, you don't understand me. And he's like, no, I don't understand you. You're willing to die? But frankly, Etty Hillesum's treasure was not in this world. She dreamed of another world, another place, where there wasn't a holocaust, where there wasn't death and destruction. That's what she was waiting for. That's what it was. That's what she was waiting for. So, don't forget, Etty Hillesum. Read her diary. It's on PDF.